Tal Elovits. He's a public policy consultant and the former advisor for the chairman of the Finance Committee of the Israeli Parliament. Thanks so much for being with us, Tal. Gans and Netanyahu both gained something last night. Both don't want to go to elections, but who lost, or is it good news for the country?
I think everyone of us lost. I think at the end of the day, we saw the government ministers acting like children in the kindergarten, fighting very much till the last moment, and playing with the very basic laws of democracy in Israel. You know, think about yourself getting in a possibility that you might be fined or having a penalty, and then you change the same law that should apply you. That's the same thing that happened last night.
Okay.
Knesset have changed the laws right before it was happened to dissolve.
So explain a bit more. Basically, 100 days passed since the formation of this government, and according to one of the basic laws of Israel, the government is supposed to dissolve. And then what happens? The parliament just changes it? Is it a common practice?
So the parliament's supposed to dissolve, and it never happened before that the parliament have been dissolved because of the fact that the government haven't passed a budget 100 days from the moment it was formed. But one should remember that this is a situation that we should have been at the end of the process. Yes, and right now we've seen a further delay, 4 months. It's not 100 days like we spoke last week, it's 120 days. And those 120 days is for the last moment to approve the budget. We're supposed to see those processes before, and right now there's not a sign that those processes are starting.
You mentioned 4 months, so the new due date is the end of December, basically the end of 2020. What does it mean for the Israeli market? You were working at the Committee of Finance. You know how many changes are passed through the parliament by different bills, etc., during a year. What does it mean for the market that it still operates with a 2019 budget?
So not just for the market, for every one of us and everyone that is rely on government services. And I will have to explain a bit, because you have the basic budget, which has been approved in the parliament, and then you have the actual budget, which is the budget that the government actually spends. And from the moment that you approve the budget to the end of the year, it passed more than a year sometimes. And in this case, the last budget was approved in March 2018 and for the budget of 2019, which means about 9 months before the start of the year. In that case, you have so much legislation, resolutions, things like the COVID-19 that can happen, and you need to update the basic budget. What happens if you don't update the basic budget? Then you have to operate 1 divided to 12, which means a month on a monthly basis budget without any additional budget. For that case, the government right now have asked to apply to the Finance Committee with a new budget proposal for just October, November, December of 11 billion shekels, and it should be applied by September 13. So in my point of view, this will be our next challenge.
So you're saying the next point of contention is just around the corner. What sort of budgets are supposed to be approved there? There have been some very specific battles this year with regards to ultra-Orthodox financing of their education, with regards to social workers, correct?
Yeah, so we have those budgets like you talked, and they have been in the media and in the news cycle a lot, the budgets for the ultra-Orthodox education, but it's not just those budgets. You have also a budget that's supposed to support agreements like the social worker agreements after their very long strike that they had. You have laws like the help for handicap that have passed before a year and a half ago, and it's still not in the basic budget, and it should be funded. So those budgets, including of update for regular programs, those need to be in the numbers that the government will hand to the Knesset.
A word, Tal, about Benny Gans, or the Benny Gans that we saw last night. He was a bit different than usual. Do you feel like he's gearing up towards elections?
Well, I think he didn't want an election. I think he doesn't want to be in the office as well. So it's a win-win situation for him. Don't get elections and stay in the office, which I don't want, but I don't want also elections. So it's worst to worst case scenario. in my point of view, and he just decided that he's not afraid of those two options. But I'm afraid that he doesn't want enough one of those two options.
Okay, if you are to estimate at this point in time, if we're due to see a fourth round of elections early next year, what would be the chances, you say?
So I will wait till the end of October to see if there's a budget proposal for the year of 2020. Because I remind it, the 24th of December, this is the last date for the budget to be approved. So we need to see the process start way before. And then I think we will see discussions for maybe a 2-year budget for 2020 and 2021 together. Because right now, Netanyahu still have get out coalition tickets at the end of December and at the end of March 2021 before we need to hand the Prime Minister office to Benny Gans.
Thank you, Tal.